Hi there, this is Laura Davallo back with another interactive card tutorial. I made this rain shaker card using Create a Smile stamps a couple of days ago. The effect is quite unique because for a second it really looks like it's raining. It's not difficult to make, but it is time consuming depending on the amount of threads that you are using. So here's what you will need to make this card. The puddle stamp from the Unforgettable set, as well as the cute seagull from the Gull Gang set, both by Create a Smile. You will need some type of invisible thread. This one is very thin for sewing machines, clear seed beads, a card base and a card panel. I inked mine with Distress inks, a cloud border die or scissors to cut something like this, and the second panel, which should be a smidge wider than the main panel. Lastly, you will need a good foam tape and optionally some narrow and strong double-sided tape. Let's start by stamping the main character on the 10.7 cm or 4 2/8 of an inch wide panel. I chose Memento Tuxedo Black ink so that I could use my Copic markers for coloring. I was feeling lazy, so instead of masking the bird to stamp the puddle, I just partially inked it and drew the missing line with a Copic multiliner pen later. After coloring the scene, I used a craft knife and a ruler to cut a strip, avoiding the seagull and mushrooms. I later fussy cut around them with a pair of sharp scissors. And then I used a black Memento marker to color the edges of those elements only. I didn't leave a whole lot of room for my foam tape, so I cut it into thin strips. After that, I gently inked the borders of my cloud strip with gray Distress ink. Once I was happy with all of the elements, I could attach the background panel to the card base and start constructing the shaker mechanism. For the sake of this tutorial, I made a sample card and used black thread so that you can see it better. But it's really important to try it out and check that the seed beads move smoothly along your thread or string. My sample thread doesn't work at all. To shorten this tutorial, I drew the lines on my card panel off camera. Take your time and make them as symmetrical and well spaced as possible. Here I'm gluing one layer of foam tape along the edge so that I can attach my string and start threading the beads. So I take the end of the thread and press it firmly against the foam tape at the first mark. I love my 3M foam tape, but just in case I'll cover the string with score tape to really make sure that it doesn't move. Now I can cut off a piece and string about 13 seed beads on it. The amount of beads depends of course on how wide your cloud and ground strips are. I really should use a needle, but I couldn't find one that was small enough, so I'm just doing it like this. Okay, now it's time to attach the end of the thread to the other side. And we do it exactly as before. It should be taut, but not too much, so that the card doesn't bend. It would be a good idea to use a heavyweight cardstock for the card base, but you can also strengthen it with extra panels on the inside. If you don't have score tape and you do rely on your foam tape, go ahead and glue another strip directly on top of the thread, like this. We use the 2 layers so that the seed beads will have plenty of room to move, but I just don't feel that it's good enough and I prefer using the score tape just in case. See how easily that came off? It's better to be safe than sorry. If someone prefers to do this using one long piece of thread and needle and poke the needle through the foam tape before and after threading the beads, I guess you can do that, but remember to leave some room for the seed beads to move. I mean, don't sew them too closely to the card panel or they will be trapped. And if anyone comes up with a better idea to do this, please share it in a comment. I would really appreciate it. When all of the 18 threads are done, use a bone folder or your finger to gently press down on the foam tape. By the way, doesn't this look pretty? Like some sort of instrument or artwork. Now you can either cut the ends directly or, and I just came up with this, tie every 2 strings together in a double knot before cutting the ends. Okay, let's glue the second strip of foam tape on top of the first one and finish not this one but the real card. I hope that this tutorial has been clear enough. It would have been impossible to see what I was doing with the invisible thread. But see what I told you about the string on this one. The beads just won't budge. We're back to the real card, and this is how those seed beads should move effortlessly. As you can see, I have already glued layered strips of foam tape to the sides so that the cloud and ground pieces will be perfectly supported. And don't ask me what happened over there, my lips are sealed. The only thing left to finish our magical raining shaker card is to attach the cloud and ground layers. I usually don't say this, but if you enjoyed the tutorial, please like, share and subscribe so that I'll be inspired to make more. Bye bye, hasta la vista!